you shall have your reward.
As Lilith and Magnus stepped into the portal into Hell, upon first glance, it was a sight that neither would have imagined. Empty with the exception of the river of flame. The souls are screeching in agony, begging for mercy as they pass by, fighting to grab onto the sides to climb out. Passing the river of flame, they come across the last place where her father's soul was within Hell. They stumbled upon the Hell Forge, abandoned with several bodies laying about. This is where the greatest of weapons were crafted to fight against the forces of the high heavens. It was also the site of the shattering of Diablo and Mephisto's soul stones by a mortal, a being that nobody would have fathomed accomplishing such a task. She slowly walks up to the stairs to the forge to find small fragments of the soul stones, all having turned black from the tainted essence once imprisoned within them and corrupting their power. She runs her hand across the edge of the forge up to Mephisto's hammer, covered in combined demonic and angel's blood, with its head coated in powder of the soul stones. She starts smirking, thinking of the power her children have ascended to beyond what Inarius was scared of before her banishment, and knowing how strong they have become in defeating the best of both sides of the eternal conflict. They start heading to her father's realm, constantly hearing noises around them, as if curiosity has caught the attention of fewer lesser demons. As they get closer, they pass through a path that is lined with bridges on either side. Suddenly, winged demons walk to the edge and cautiously glimpse at Lilith and Magnus crossing their path. Lilith stops for a moment and turns to stare down the winged minions of Hell. However, she got a reaction that surprised her. They didn't move back. They didn't show fear. They only moved to stand their ground, to almost protect what lies behind them. She then continues walking. Magnus looks back to see the winged demons turning and walking away, still staring at them until they no longer were within sight. They turned back, as if being territorial. I wouldn't imagine they would act this way in your presence, Magnus said of his observation. Lilith smirked and replied, "Perhaps they are protecting something we shouldn't see." She takes a quick look back at them, still standing their ground, a few more now standing up above her and Magnus as they continue walking. However, that is a matter to be dealt with at another time. Inarius is close. They make their way into the realm of hatred, and are greeted with a distant but familiar laughter. They start making their way down into the cells where Mephisto's most prized prisoners were kept in wait for their damnation. The laughter is now more profound as Lilith and Magnus turn a corner once off the stairs, and then they see whom they have been searching for. Looking down at his reflection, he says, "There she is, looking as beautifully sinister as ever. However, I was expecting you to return much sooner. I was starting to give up on the idea that you were ever returning to Sanctuary." He then looks up at them, revealing his face to Lilith for the first time, for he now was everything he had feared of what their world created. She smirked and replied, "And look at you. You went from trying to eradicate the powers of our mortal children to now becoming mortal yourself. I should have been here sooner, but it was all well worth the wait. How I was once imprisoned within the void with you free to continue betraying our vision of Sanctuary. My, how the fates have flipped for us now, and for once being an angel, your actual face isn't anything like I pictured it would look." Inarius starts laughing and responds, "Yes, our fates have turned, but I am not mortal, not yet at least. As long as I stay bound, the curse your father placed upon me stays in effect. However, if I am free, my mortality becomes prominent, and that makes for an interesting predicament, since if you release me of my shackles, I will be able to help stop Sanctuary from being destroyed. But in doing that, my plan that was ceased prior would be fulfilled. If you decide not to do so, then my plan doesn't come to fruition at my hands, but instead by yours." Tough choice to make. Confused, she asks him, "How would that be so? Aside from you and I, there aren't any other beings of power able to cause such great devastation. I'm only aware of one person who has gained any considerable power, as he defeated the greats of the angels and demons, but even as that may be, nobody else can challenge my will." Inarius slowly starts to laugh, then answers her with, "That's where you are gravely mistaken. We are not alone here. Not anymore. That Nephilim you speak of is more of a threat than any being you've faced before, for his power knows no limits, so long as his body can handle it. Also, his will is not of his own, and if he succeeds in his plan, Destruction will consume all worlds, heaven, hell, and sanctuary alike. Even if he fails, pain and anguish are already spreading throughout the realms of hell and plaguing all of sanctuary. There are forces at work that you alone will not be able to comprehend their true intentions, nor defeat them when your paths cross. Magnus tries hiding his pendant, and Inarius takes notice. He continues, and you may have already crossed paths with them, disguised as your own. At least with me, you know where I stand. Sacrifices will be made if you free me. We can fight them together and rid them of our world forever. Lilith takes a moment, then with a grin says, there is no power great enough to have me consider sacrificing my children in order to relinquish the effects of the eternal conflict from Sanctuary. You may have kept me away from this world we created, but now I'm going to see to it that it never falls in the hands of anyone wanting damnation for our children, especially you. The eternal conflict has made everyone corrupted to power, including you, so you may end up being some use to me in time. For now, you will stay here to let the madness grow hungrier within your soul, until there is nothing left for hell or heaven to recognize you for. All the while humanity starts growing and thriving once again. Let's be on our way, Magnus. There's much to do. As Lilith turns to leave and walks back up the stairs, Inarius calls out to Magnus. I hope you'll be ready when she realizes where your loyalty lies. No matter the decision you make, your kind remains doomed. The only difference between them is whose hands will be laying the crushing blow to the future of all Nephilim. Unamused, Magnus rebuttals, if you were so confident with your assumptions, why hide that from her yourself? Inarius answers, whether I tell her or not, all Nephilim will soon cease to be within Sanctuary. Thus my ideal that brought me into this predicament would finally be complete. Even if it wouldn't be immediate, the effects would still be so significant that all hope for your survival fades away, especially once the three return to reclaim their world before conquering yours. Why would I try to stop that from happening? He quickly heads out to catch up with Lilith, hearing Inarius' evil laughter lurking behind him as a reminder that his actions from this point forward could determine the true fate of not only those whom call Sanctuary home, but to all of Sanctuary as well.